Speaking of work-shy 20-somethings, Steve, Telegraph have evidence of a trend.
Yeah, hiring Gen Z, I refuse to say Z, is a nightmare. They don't turn up for their first day at work.
I still say Gen Christ as well instead of Gen X, but that's more controversial.
Or like King's Cross.
Yeah.
So a nightmare is how this James McNeil has described his experience of working with Generation Zs. Quick little context. This grouping of generations is fairly borderline horoscopes. So I'm born in 1977. This is what bothers me about it. Born in 1977, I'm Gen Christ.
OK.
Which, are you telling me I've got more in common with someone born in 1965 than I have someone 3 years younger
That's
than me?
me. I'm 1965.
Yeah.
I'm the first year of the Gen X.
Yeah, we've got nothing in common.
You and I, we see eye to eye on most matters.
Terrible. Don't disprove me this early in the story.
Other than shed usage. I think... no, I know what you mean. I think there are useful... I don't think the thing about generations is necessarily you can say they come in 25-year blocks. I think certain things happen at certain crucial stages. You know, there's this book, The Fourth Turning, and they've revived it again recently. You know about this?
No.
This takes, like, the generations... the greatest generation are the ones who fought in the war, then the boomers. And I think the boomers is a thing because they actually did... They were a cohort who experienced... you know, a massive upsurge in economic confidence. But it's an American phenomenon, right? To use baby boomers in the UK, anyone born in the first 10 years after the war in this country, their parents were living through rationing and were, you know, coming to terms with the fact that Britain had lost pretty much everything that the previous 100 years had taken for granted. Two very different cohorts in that respect. Yeah. Just because you're born at a certain time doesn't mean that you're born into a certain set of conditions. Yeah,
it just means that you live through certain things. But just the actual story says that he employed two of them, they didn't even turn up on their first day. I mean, the Generation Z thing does mean we get to insult young people, so sleeves up. Forget that I complained. We've been told to get a work-life balance, and they've kind of taken it so far because they've devalued what work is in their life, and maybe it's because they don't particularly think it's going to pay off for them. Maybe they've, you know, if you spend your entire childhood paying attention to your emotional health, maybe you work less. Here's the kicker, though. While unemployment's where it is and when everyone else retires, they will end up with the jobs, working from home, whether you like it or not. Yeah. If you need to fill a role, you're going to have to meet...
Not if they don't turn up at all. I think that's got to be... You've got to occasionally go to work.
They do turn up, they have a mental health day because they couldn't buy ramen that day.
I think they say they don't turn up for interviews. This is what the complaints are.
I think there's somebody that got a job. It wasn't a high-end role, but it paid £35,000 a year, company car, laptop, phone, decent position. On both occasions on the first day, they just didn't show up. I mean, the confidence of it, or the lack of... I suppose it's the low testosterone, all that stuff we're always hearing, you know, that...
But ultimately, there'll be no one else to fill those jobs. So you're right. I mean, you need people to turn up, but...
Well, there might be embodied AI in robots, possibly.
Actually, yeah.
How lovely.
Solved it.
There we go. Fingers crossed.